Going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for everyone for joining the webinar today, Unlocking Access, Implementing Home Delivered Meals to Expand Summer Meal Access for Rural Families. I know that this is a busy time with the school year wrapping up and plans underway for summer meal programs that will be getting started over the course of the next month. So we just appreciate your time. Today we're going to hear from panelists talking about their experience last summer with home delivery programs and what they have in store for their programs this summer. We have a good range. We have Kristen Collins from Colorado, who leads a nonprofit community-based organization. We have Donna Ravello from a school district in New York. And we have Madeline Ganem from PepsiCo's Food for Good that does a national mailing home delivery program. So you'll get a chance to hear more from all of them soon, but a few logistics. We will be recording this webinar and the slide deck will be shared an email after we complete it with the recording. It'll also be posted on our Center for Best Practices website. While you are listening in today, feel free to use the webinar chat function, which several of you have already done. And if you have any questions for speakers, please insert those into the Q&A box. So that's along the banner at the bottom of your screen. And we will monitor that throughout the webinar, and there's definitely time for Q&As afterwards, but also the panelists can jump in and answer questions throughout. I already told you a little bit about our speakers, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kristen.
Thanks, Allison. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Collins. I'm one of the founders and the executive director for the Colorado Food Cluster. Next slide. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We were established in 2022. Essentially, we started as a program under another nonprofit to address the meal and meal delivery needs during the pandemic when kiddos weren't able to access the meal programs in person settings, so after school programs specifically. And we were doing meal deliveries during the pandemic and have kind of sustained after we split up as our own entity, doing rural non-congregate summer feeding as well as meal prep and delivery for other NSLP programs. Next slide. So like I said, we have been doing this since the pandemic, and we have served over 8.5 million meals and snacks to over 31,000 kids in Colorado. This map kind of shows the areas where our kids live and where our deliveries have occurred. Kids have attended or been affiliated with over 2,500 schools or school programs in 180 cities across the state. And we've brought in over 21 million in federal reimbursements for these meal programs to Colorado. Next slide. So last year was the first year we did meal deliveries through the summer feeding program in rural areas. We did over 41,000 meals to 575 kids, and we had 6 distribution sites. Our goal for this summer program, and I'll talk about kind of what we did in the preparation and what our logistics looks like, but we're hoping to serve 315,000 meals to 1,875 kids, and we have 18 distribution sites. Next slide. So how it works, the families enroll directly through our online platform, and we partner with a food vendor to do the meal prep and packaging. The food vendor then distributes those meals to those sites. So like I said, last year we had 6 of them. This year we'll have 18 sites. And then we contract with a delivery vendor to pick up the meals from the sites and do the door-to-door delivery. So in the past, some of our food vendors have been Revolution Foods, Michael's of Denver Catering. Our delivery vendors have been a local delivery company, Bondadosa, DoorDash, that's the most popular one that people know of, or another one, Hungry. Next slide. So I wanted to go over kind of what our online platform looks like and how it functions, because essentially that's how we're able to maintain program integrity, do the rules and regulations, the compliance, the reporting, but integrate all of the different systems. So instead of doing MOUs for FRL eligible students with schools and districts, we're able to collect that directly from the beneficiaries and their families. So we apply the same rules and logic to determine whether they're eligible for free or reduced lunch. The family enrolls, creates an account, and they pick their preferred delivery day. And then the platform then determines if they're income eligible, and then if they're eligible based off of living in a rural area within one of those 18 delivery sites. We then have integration with our food vendors and our delivery vendors. So the food vendor in real time is able to see how many eligible children there are at each location. So whatever their preferences of 7 days in advance, 2 days in advance for preparing and delivering the meals, they can go in and see that in real time. And then the delivery vendors, this is really the key piece. So a lot of the vendors have their own routing and confirmation systems where we send them the household, the quantity, the delivery day times, and then they do the distribution, and their account or their record keeping system will automate when the meals are going out, when they're estimated to arrive. And then it'll show photo proof of the meal being delivered, whether the family prefers email or text. And then that data is then shared with us to show that that meal was successfully delivered. And that delivery data is what we use to submit claim counts. There are various issues of the delivery company making some errors, forgetting a box. Only 2 out of the 3 kids got a box, and so the next one will go out the next day. But how our reporting system works, it only counts 1 meal per day per kid that we claim for. So even if they get like 2 for the following day, we still only claim for 1. Next slide. For this summer, what we're really excited about is some of the partnerships and relationships we've created with community organizations and schools and districts. Last year, we were the only entity in Colorado doing home delivery for non-congregate rural summer feeding. And this year, we're excited that there are a lot more school food authorities that are working on a home delivery model. So some of the approaches, I think previously in January, No Kid Hungry did a conference. A lot of the school districts will do a mobile route. So they'll take that same bus route and still like stop at a location and the kids can come and do the grab and go. What we're doing is partnering with them to ensure their students aren't participating in both programs, and those families that are disabled or don't have transportation or still can't get to that mobile site, we're enrolling them through the home delivery for that extra mile. So we're excited about testing that for this first year, and then the regular home delivery. So parents enrolling directly with us when there isn't a congregate feeding option in their area, or when it's not within a reasonable distance for them to access. Another piece that the state is allowing us to do is, even if it is in a reasonable distance, why does the family need home delivery? Do they not have access to reliable transportation? Do they have a disability? Other things like that are like the exceptions, and they'll be eligible for the home delivery. Next slide. So this is my attempt to kind of capture our preparation for the program in one slide. So fortunately, since we operated last year, we went through the state audit, during the pandemic and last year, we partnered with the state early, and in January, we talked with them and used the Meal Finder site map from previous summer programs as well to figure out where there were gaps in summer programs, the congregate options. And so this year we were pre-approved to go into 18 new counties that traditionally and historically have not had a summer feeding program. And so since then, we have been reaching out to schools, districts, faith-based organizations, other community organizations in those 18 counties to set up the infrastructure. So in that how it works slide, those sites are really key, because that's where the food vendors drop off the food and the delivery drivers pick up from those hubs. So we have been setting up, identifying those locations as the hubs in each community. And then recently we just launched the registration link so that we can prepare and have the counts for orders by the time kids start summer. So right after their last day of school. And one of the key pieces I think people are interested in is how are we registering students? Like, what is the most successful marketing strategy? Like I said earlier, we connect with community organizations directly and they help share the link with the populations they serve. We have been most successful in geo-targeting ads. So through Google ads or Facebook ads, we share our registration link, our flyer, information about the program in those specific areas and zip codes that we're approved to operate in. And so then those ads then show up on people's social media accounts. I think for last year, $7 in ad space generated 150 registrations. And then another strategy we use is statewide service providers, so Medicaid providers, other food relief, food insecurity programs we've partnered with to help spread the word with other community organizations. And then the favorite thing, procurement. So we develop the criteria we're looking for food vendors and delivery partners with each site and location listed in there to identify and secure the food and staff for that. In the past, one thing we really appreciated with our delivery vendor is they hired locally. So they went into each community and recruited drivers. Some of the drivers for certain areas were cafeteria workers that didn't work over the summer, librarians, teachers, and they were able to still make an income by doing the meal delivery. And they knew the community, the population, the roads really well. So that was helpful. And then next, where we're coming up into next week is doing the pre-site visits. So getting the logistics set up with the selected meal vendors, checking the pre-site visit criteria, launching. So our launch date is May 17th for the first site because of the summer program, first day of summer. Then the monitoring, the 2 visits, and then we wrap up the program. We put out a survey from our participants to collect feedback. What did they think of the food options? What we do is we collect recipes and ingredients for their favorite food to make at home with their kids. And then we share that with the selected meal vendors to try to incorporate in their menus. And like how the deliveries went, where they dropped off in the correct locations, things like that. Next slide. What I'm most excited about is the opportunities that each year provides now that more people are getting familiar with the program, the allowability, familiarity from providers, state agencies, and the USDA. Our goal is to provide nutrient-dense, fresh fruits and vegetable and food options to each participant. And what we found is that's really challenging going through procurement, and high volumes as well, like in particularly the delivery route. So one option we had for fresh food options, their prep center is in Denver. And by the time they get it to a rural location, 6 to 8 hours away from Denver, the food's not great. And then it goes out the next day for distribution. So what we hope to do is kind of in future identify more micro vendors for each community, partnering with local restaurants or caterers to be the vendors, prepare the meals, package them, and then work just with delivery for the door-to-door piece. In the past, like I said, all of the meals were shelf stable. Even this year with some of the proposals we've received, there are still a large number of shelf stable options, which last year we got great feedback on, the kids loved. So we want to make sure we always have like kind of a combination, but still ensuring we offer fresh fruit and vegetable options as well. And then, like I said, diversifying the meal options along with other states and communities. Colorado is very diverse, and what one family traditionally eats isn't what another family traditionally eats. So we want to offer meals that represent the communities we serve. And then the last piece, creating opportunities for local meal providers. Like I said, we had a meeting earlier today with a local coalition in one of the counties we're going into, and they missed the RFP deadline, but they want to connect us with that entity to be a food vendor next year to help foster economic development in their community and create pipelines for these organizations to compete and then become vendors for these nationally funded meal programs. And I think that's it. And I know I tend to talk really fast and fly through this, so.
Thanks so much, Kristen. I think you highlighted a lot of things, how states approach the program so differently, even within USDA's interim final rule. And I think that if any of you listening in have questions, especially as starting up as a new sponsor or newly eligible for rural non-congregate home delivery, please submit your questions. We are going to turn it over now to Madeline.
Hi, everyone. My name is Madeline Gannum. I have the honor today to speak on behalf of Food for Good and address child hunger in rural America. So next slide, please. Food for Good is a social enterprise within the PepsiCo Foundation that solely focuses on supporting nonprofit organizations across the country. We help them to provide nutritious meals during the school day, after school, summer, holiday breaks. And our overall goal is to really provide sustainable solutions to help close the gap on hunger and reach these 9 million students that do not have access to healthy meals. So not only do we deliver meals that meet the nutritional requirements for CACFP and SFSP, but we work really closely with all of our partners to create sustainable meal programs that remove any financial, operational barriers, and really to help them navigate the changing landscapes of these programs. So today, I'm really excited for the opportunity to share more about our solutions that we've been fine-tuning for the last 4 years now, specifically around rural America. Next slide. So I'll start by sharing a little bit more about our home delivery solution and how it works, but then I'd love to jump back into our history and experience in rural home delivery as well. But as a lot of us know, COVID really pulled back the curtain to the real need in rural areas and how access to nutrition still persists to be such a large unmet need. So with our years of experience delivering meals direct to home, excuse me, we've naturally learned a lot at Food for Good. And we've been on this mission to continue to perfect our non-congregate solution that removes all barriers for our partners, but most importantly, the uncertainty and ensures integrity around these programs delivering to direct to home. So I'll go into more specifics later, but I do want to share the overall solution we provide. So we offer a multi-day box with shelf-stable meals that can be shipped direct to students' homes within SFSP reimbursement rates. So we deliver our boxes through third-party shippers. So we work with UPS, USPS, and over the years have collected a lot of data around menu preferences, specifically from the kids. So it's become very important for us to provide a large variety of menus to reduce menu fatigue and new interesting flavors to keep the kids excited about these boxes when they arrive at their doorsteps. So even though it's clearly important to successfully deliver the boxes directly to the students, we found that it's just as important to successfully monitor the delivery of the boxes and collection of all of that data. So for this, we've built a software called Meal Solutions, and it talks directly to the third-party shippers and updates data in real time. So if UPS updates their system every 3 hours, then Meal Solutions system updates every 3 hours for our sponsors to reference and pull that data into an Excel file if needed. We also have an amazing team and a dedicated team to help every step of the way, customize solutions and boxes to fit your specific needs, your specific community. Next slide, please. All right, so I would really love to share a little bit more about the history too before I continue. And yeah, so 4 years ago, in the height of COVID, in response to kids being out of school, we partnered with Baylor University and the USDA to pilot a program called Meals to You. So that was driven to deliver nutritious meals direct to students' homes with a focus on data collection. And it was really our priority to create a program integrity around compliance and monitoring. So in 2020 alone, the Meals to You program served nearly 40 million meals to over 273,000 children in 43 states. So we delivered boxes direct to home anywhere from Alaska to native populations in New Mexico. And we continued to serve more direct to home with Baylor University for 3 summers after that. So all of that hard work that so many people put into this pilot program of Meals to You really is helping to drive forward the rural non-congregate legislation and waivers that you're seeing today. So in addition to our partnership with Baylor, we also partnered with Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma to reach Indigenous communities. So these were normally outside of normal delivery routes. And since 2001, we delivered more than 300,000 meals to over 3,900 children and continue to partner with them for this upcoming summer as well. And as of most recently, we are seeing a lot more schools get involved in rural non-congregate. So we have had some fantastic success last summer partnering directly with school districts, including a program called Accomack, or a school district, Accomack School District in rural Virginia. And we served upwards of 200,000 meals with them to 2,000 students from July to August. And we're really excited to be partnering with them again this summer and even expanding their program even more. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll get into the details of how it really works. We have delivered boxes from anywhere from 5 days worth of meals to 10 days worth of meals. So for example, our 10-day box has 10 of our lunch meal kits that have 5 different shelf-stable components inside. And then 10 days worth of breakfast components and shelf-stable milk to make a full meal. So all of these meals and the cost of shipping is within the reimbursement rates for SFSP. We like to provide familiar brand names for the kids. We've really done a great job of reducing the amount of juice that we add to the boxes and have really found some cool shelf-stable vegetable components that we've added. And we really try to do our best to be culturally relevant and conscious of the preferences to that specific geography we're shipping the boxes to. So for the sponsors, we provide PFS information, nutritionals, and the build of materials for each box that's delivered. And our goal is to remove the amount of administrative, operational burden for your team as possible. So to get started with us, our team works with you to create a count on meal solutions. And to go back to the beginning, meal solutions is where you can reference that data and tracking information of your boxes and download it when you need to be able to submit to the state. So the most you really will need to get involved is in the beginning, where we provide you a template that you'll need to collect all the correct addresses of the students you're looking to deliver boxes to. We then take those addresses, upload them into Meal Solutions for you, and validate them in our system to make sure that they're all deliverable. So once we have all of that information, like essentially it's very smooth sailing from then on in our team. It's all in the hands of our team, essentially kind of a subscription service. So if any students want to be added to the list, they can be added. If any students want to be removed, they can be removed from that list fairly easily. Next slide. All right, so as you can tell, we like data at Food for Good. We want to support you in closing that gap and feeling confident about the boxes that you're delivering. So on this slide is a screenshot of what our website looks like, Meal Solutions for your reference, and a breakdown of some of that data. So we keep all information private with unique child ID numbers. So you can include an email address if you'd like, or the student or family email addresses. And the nice part about that is that they do receive an email and notification when their box is being shipped out, but you also have the option to keep the phone number and email address like generic and nothing specific to the student. But the real importance around the child ID number is that we don't want to send any duplicate boxes. So one house, for example, can receive up, as many as 4 boxes, but we know that there's 4 unique children at that address. So at the end of the summer, we can look up that one child ID number and see exactly how many boxes they received and when they received them. Another big question we get is what happens if my box is damaged or can't be delivered? We see that information in real time on Meal Solutions. So as soon as we see that a box has been damaged, Food for Good actually holds the risk of all damaged boxes and we reship them immediately. In the case that there is an address error or the box was denied, we'll contact you for the correct address and any approval before reshipping out that box. So all damages, errors, delivered, all of this information is in Meal Solutions and being tracked. So by the end of the summer, we'll know that child ID 1234, for example, received a total of 8 boxes. 1 of them was damaged. 1 of them had an error, for example, and we can show exactly when every single box was delivered and when. So all of this information, the nice part is it's locked in our system for you to reference years later. So if we want to look back to 2022, we have all that information for you to reference as well. Another really great part about the data is it's also a great way to easily capture the success and impact of your overall program, share it out with your community, your team, things like that. So I know that this was quite a lot of information, and I could talk about this all day. So please know that I'm more than happy to connect offline with anyone to better understand your specific needs, barriers your team may have in your specific community, and we would love to support you in a way that works for you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Madeline. We're going to turn it over now to Donna, who is a food service director in New York.
Hi, everyone. My program and the description of my program is going to be so much different than the other 2 presentations, and I don't have a PowerPoint for you, so I'm just going to kind of talk through some figures. I'm a much smaller operation, but boy, I got to tell you, it was really inspiring listening to your stories because you're doing such massive things on a massive scale, and then we have just the opposite in what I'm doing. So Clyde Savannah is a very small rural district located smack dab in the middle of Rochester and Syracuse, New York, very rural. We serve just a little over 750 students. We have 2 schools, an elementary and a junior senior high school. And we always have on-site open summer feeding programs. What we ran into last year was that we didn't get a lot of teachers signed up to run our summer programs, on-site summer programs. So many of our kids had to go on a waiting list to attend our summer programs. And we also, one of the villages in our school district, Savannah, is located about 10 miles away from where both school buildings are located. And they don't have any place there. They used to have a summer program where we would do an open site there as well, but that kind of dwindled over the years. And all of those students came to our summer programs. So we stopped doing summer meals there, and there was no way for me to service those kids in Savannah with our 2 open sites in Clyde. So when the non-congregate option opened up, we were thrilled. We decided that we wanted to take advantage of the non-congregate option by offering a home delivery service. We're very fortunate that our school had received a huge community schools grant several years prior. And one of the things that they purchased through that community schools grant was a mobile van, a mobile conversion van, and we use it for multiple things. We offer medical clinics out to our rural families when they can't get in to get immunizations or mammograms or things of that nature. But in the summertime, it becomes my baby, and we do home meals with it, or we did last year. Our program last year, we had 2 open sites, one at our elementary school, one at our high school, and then we also offered our delivery option to families in Savannah, was how it started, in that town 10 miles away. And then I had found out about the students that were living in Clyde that couldn't come to our on-site programs because they didn't have enough teachers, and they were also not getting food. So I reapplied to my state agency and said, hey, I know you don't want kids coming to I know you don't want to do non-congregate feeding in locations where there's open sites, but this is my dilemma. And it took about a week or so, but they ultimately ended up approving so that I could deliver to students in our open site area as long as they were at least a mile away from the school. So we picked up probably about 72, I think, overall additional kids over the course of summer to deliver to. We ended up delivering 5 days worth of breakfast, 5 days worth of lunch to 71 students, affecting, I think it was 30 different households, and they were spaced out between Savannah and Clyde. It took us roughly over about, 3 or 4 hours. We did it 1 day a week. It was always on Friday. Our open sites were available Monday through Thursday. So Friday, we would come in the morning, pack up all the meals, and we put them in the insulated containers. They're old insulated milk crates, or not crates, insulated milk bags with ice sheets, loaded them into a refrigerated section of our mobile conversion van. We would go out and do the Clyde route, come back in, load up our Savannah students, and then head out to Savannah and then come back to the district. We did a variety of different foods. So we really used it as an opportunity to clear out our freezer before fall began and we started getting all of our commodities in. So if there were items that weren't shelf stable, we would cook them, package them, freeze them, and then they would go out on our next week's delivery, and with reheating instructions, all of the nutritional information. We also did a lot of shelf stable meals. Last year, they did not allow us to do, that's what I'm looking for. I just had it in my head and it just went out. They did not allow us to do multiple, like instead of doing 5 containers of milk, get a half gallon of milk. They wouldn't allow us to do that last year, but this year it is an option. So they're also, our state agency is a little bit more detailed this year. They want us to send them an actual delivery route. I worked with my transportation department to map out my route for me that I would end up driving. It was all handled within our food service department. We got some younger students who were looking for community service hours because our students have to have a community service requirement for graduation. So they worked with us over the summer to help carry these big, heavy insulated containers from the van to the door, because they ended up being pretty heavy once you get 5 days worth of meals in there. For families to register for the program, we sent out and had on our website it was just a basic Google survey form with questions such as their name, their address, their email, how many kids they had in the household that were under 18. Were there any kids in the household that were attending our on-site programs? And then how many kids were not attending our in-house programs? And then I confirmed that data with our in-house summer coordinator. So we were making sure that we weren't double dipping anywhere, serving kids that were in our in-house, but also delivering meals for them as well. We also, during the summer months, we had a live Google Doc, each one of us, so me and the delivery van, and then my in-house person, they weren't here on Fridays. So on Thursdays, we would look at what my schedule looked like for the next day, who I was delivering to, and I would compare it to her attendance list from throughout the week to make sure that we weren't serving students on Friday that had been in program all week long. It was just easier to do it that way. And it was really easy to do because they were here Monday through Thursday. So we knew if we delivered on Friday, they technically would be getting the meals for the following week, but it really was for the prior week that we were tracking, counting numbers for counting purposes. Our goal for the summer was to increase by 10%. I think we managed to increase by about 12%. We served 1,379 more meals than we did the prior year. And we're hoping that this year we can do that. We can double that even more, because we are planning on doing a bulk meal option, which is the word I was looking for. And rather than serving 5 sandwiches per 3 or 4 kids within a household, we're just going to serve a loaf of bread or 2 loaves of bread, or however, a gallon of milk, so that families don't have to have all these so many different little cartons for storage purposes. I think I covered just about everything. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Donna. And I agree. It's so cool to see all the different types of home delivery programs out there and the different scales. So I have gathered some questions as we've been going through these presentations. And so I'm gonna direct some questions to each of you. The one that I want to start with, and I think you all touched on it in various ways, was program finances. I think when a lot of people are thinking about starting a home delivery program, it sounds expensive, and we know of sponsors that tried to do it last year and then weren't able to sustain it and things like that. So if you could give a little bit more insight into your home delivery program finances versus what it takes to do like a non-congregate grab and go site or things like that. I think that'd be helpful for attendees to hear.
Do you want me to start?
Go for it.
So for me in the school district, I was very, very fortunate. I applied for and received one of the No Kid Hungry non-congregate summer feeding grants. And in that grant, I applied for fuel for the delivery route. I applied for extra labor costs. I applied for extra meal costs, and they also helped me purchase some of those insulated containers and ice sheets so that we could deliver it properly and safely. I don't know that my district would have allowed me to do it without that grant, because I mean, like many school districts in the country, we're lucky if we break even or get into the black. You know, a lot of times, many times we've run into the red. So I don't know if they would have allowed me to do it with the extra labor costs, but that really helped us. But conversely, on that, it also bumped up my revenue for the year with all the extra meals. So this year they looked at it and they said, hey, if you can do that again this year, you're going to go ahead and do it, and we're going to make it work. And then another thing to keep in mind is, you know, sometimes I'll have 5 or 6 employees that want to work over the summer, but my programs on site were so small, I could only really justify having 2. This really helped me keep some other employees employed throughout the summer, which is great, because that's one of the reasons we have so much turnover, is because I can't keep people year round. So this was a great opportunity, a win-win all the way around.
That's awesome. So it sounds like that first year, those startup costs are really important, but
Absolutely,
it can be sustainable and it can be something that you're able to do the following year.
right.
Kristen, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Um, uh, that is, especially as my role in this, the ED, the trickiest part, it being a reimbursement program. We're very limited in how fast we can grow. Like I said, last year we did 5 sites. And this year we're doing 18, and there are a lot of upfront costs for the traveling, training, setting up the infrastructure that can be recouped through the reimbursement. It's just not there upfront. But what this model and this program really allows for like us as a community entity doing it is to rely on the profitability expertise of entities like PepsiCo, DoorDash, delivery companies that have those profit margins and can really utilize the volume for discounts. We're a statewide entity, so we're able to use those volume rates to apply for all of our sites that really make the food costs affordable. But additionally, we don't have a lot of those extra overhead costs like contracting, salary, utilities for in-site, in-person things that are there, the equipment that are costs that are required for doing daily or some. Well, in Colorado, a lot of the programs for Congo options are only offered 2 days of the week. So that's really where there's kind of reallocations of the cost to afford delivery, but more efficiencies. Our administration overhead, even though we're allowed to take 10 to 15, is only 3% that we use for staffing, travel, training, which also allows us to open up more of that reimbursement rate to higher quality, higher cost foods. And like I said earlier, and so excited PepsiCo has something too that we've been looking for, but the technology that really eliminates a lot of the people capacity and efforts in the monitoring, compliance, record keeping, and tracking. We're able to do a lot of that through the functionality of our custom development platform as well, that gives us the resources to reappropriate some of those funds for other things.
Excuse me. I think like finances so naturally goes into like data, and all of you talked about the data you're receiving, whether it's through like a Google form sign up or through these platforms that PepsiCo and others have built out. Madeline, I wonder if you can get started on giving some examples of how you partnered with sponsors who were kind of gathering these different data points and then wanted to shift either the type of food that they were providing during the summer through their deliveries, or things that they may be changing for this summer instead. Because I think that that is a really cool part about non-congregate programs, is that there are often signups involved, and so there's a little bit more interaction with the students and families as far as data transfers. So if you can share some examples about sponsors making changes based on the data they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of add-ons to students, removals of students throughout the summer. And even the like size boxes we're shipping, things like that. To go back to kind of cutting down costs as much as you can too. And this is very dependent on what state you are located in and things like that, and what your state is going to allow. But we have seen a lot of sponsors doing biweekly shipments now, especially if it's different for fresh produce, definitely. But if your box is fully shelf stable, if we can ship 2 weeks worth of meals versus just that weekly shipment of meals, you're essentially shipping double the amount of meals within the same shipping cost. So it's considerably cutting down your cost to deliver the box direct to home. But yeah, I think the nice part about our system specifically is we do have those unique child IDs. So if a student does want to be removed from the list, it's very easy to, I guess, manage and track any changes to who and what we're delivering and what was received at what time. Yeah. Does that answer the question or?
Yeah, and I think like in follow-up, you all also mentioned the ability, like Donna, to provide bulk items like a loaf of bread versus having to
Mhm.
do prepackaged. Madeline, you talked about different options and variety beyond juice for medium fruit and veggies requirement. And Kristen, you talked about, and this was a question that came up in the chat, about opportunities to explore micro vendors in these communities to be able to provide more fresh fruits and veggies. So if any of you can speak to some of those opportunities, whether it's something that you're hoping to do this summer or what you see in the future, kind of an insight into the brainstorming of all of that.
I think other than what I had shared previously, I know that we would love to do some sort of, if it's a QR code that families can scan, the kids can scan on their phone, or just some way to get that real-time feedback. Like if we're able to put something in the box that we can know what they're really liking, what they're not liking, what they'd like to see added. That's definitely something we're looking to collect that data and insight. And if we're shipping a box direct to their doorstep, well, like how amazing would it be to also provide, resources and information that way, but then collect that data and information on our end as well.
I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, our goal is to provide as much fresh fruit food options as possible. But really what we've learned since the pandemic is that is much more challenging, especially in rural areas, which is why it's not really an option or very commonly applied. I think that our goal is to really, from my perspective, the challenge for doing that has been a lot of the rules and regulations, right? You've got procurement, you've got requirements for the food service management contract, and really where are the opportunities in the rules to really serve each community need without applying a one size fits all. Right now, we did the request for proposals. We're weighing the options of 10 days, 7 days, 5-day shelf stable, some fresh food options, where the goal is to, like I said, have micro contracts. The specific contract aligns with the procurement, but can we grow a fresh food option in Archuleta County with a population of 500? Start them small doing that, but then grow them so that they can compete for these food contracts and serve that whole area in the future. Because like I said, really it does come down to depending on the expertise of those industries already established. We don't want to be a food vendor, a food prep company or distributor, or a delivery company. We want to be that entity that alleviates a lot of that burden put on communities for the rules and regulations that often deters them from participating in this program, which then means that service or opportunity is not available in their community. And so like things like this and hearing about Madeline's program, like I've worked with Baylor, and like she said, that's the reason why this flexibility is allowed nationally, but always things to learn and not keep us in a box, but really think of how it can be done within the rules and regulations. These conversations and learning about what programs exist are really crucial to doing that.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear Dawn about like on your scale and within a school district, there's pros and cons to both sides,
Right.
but what you can share from your experience.
But we have bids pretty much already in place. So we purchase off of our bids, but it's also a great time for us to utilize our local farmers because not so much at the start of the summer, but by August, if we're still doing our delivery model deep into August and at that last weekend in August and first weekend in September before our kids return to school, because that's when our calendar starts. It's usually after Labor Day, and then we go right up until the end of June. And we go right from that first Friday after school ends all the way to the Wednesday after Labor Day when school begins is when we do our delivery options. But you have a lot of local farmers that are looking to get rid of some of their product too, closer towards mid-August to late August. Very small farmers that live and grow within our own Clyde Savannah area that will contact me and say, hey, I've got a lot of peppers this week. Do you guys want to take them for pepper? We'll cut them up into pepper sticks and serve them with ranch packets and things like that. So it goes both ways. We always try to provide apples, bananas, some fresh juice options. But then as we get into the later summer months, we really work with our local farmers in the districts that have product available that they might be able to give us. And we're small enough that we can do that. I realize it's not an option, for larger schools, but I have a fifth generation farmer that lives right here in my district. He graduated from Clyde Savannah. He started seeing we were doing stuff here. He gave me a call and said, hey, I want to work with you. And we got him through the whole RFP process so that he could be a part of it. And then, he'll call me and say, hey, I got a bunch of beans this week. Can you take some? And that really helps me out with my summer program. And it's a great option. And it's wonderful PR for community resources.
Awesome. We only have a couple minutes left. I was wondering if each of you wanted to give a last minute plug for home delivery for those that are thinking about it or attempting to do it this summer, whether it's partnering with the state agency or hiring staff or just getting the program off the ground. Any last minute words of advice? Let's start with Donna.
I'll just speak to like the food service directors out there. Sorry, my phone's ringing. To the directors that might be on the call, if you're in a small rural area and anything that I said is feasible for you, please feel free to reach out. But beyond that, I went into this process thinking it was going to be really difficult. I kind of went into it kicking and screaming. I'm not going to get the staff to do it. I'm not going to have the money to do it. It's going to put me in the red. It's going to be another logistical piece. But, we always make it work. And it ended up being a really more simplified process than I thought it was going to be. It really helped us utilize our product that we had on hand and in stock. It really helped me keep my staff engaged over the summer. It was wonderful going out once a week and keeping up with the kids that weren't here on site that I wasn't able to see, and just to see them so happy and running out to meet the van every day when we pulled up and meet their animals and their friends. And, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I can't wait to do it again this year.
Awesome. Kristen?
I'll say just too, from what I've heard from other state agencies, there's always, I can piggyback off of Donna, the naysayers of like, I'm not going to consider that. There's no way that we can do that, the risk. And I think that entities like Donna, me, PepsiCo are huge examples of, it's a federal program. If it's working and allowed in one state, then you can convince your state agency to do it as well. We're doing some other things with the CACFP, identifying programs that are allowed and work in other states and convincing Colorado to allow that as well. But I think that there's an opportunity to push back and use these proven models to reach those populations that need this type of service to access nutritious food year round.
Awesome. And Madeline, anything to share?
Yeah, it's this is just such an important topic, and it's such, strides forward to see a call put together for it and so many people attending and interested in how this all works. And still knowing that there is so much uncertainty, around how it does work. So just know that it's cool to see that, Donna's story, Kristen's story, the our experience with PepsiCo so far. And there's a lot of people doing it in so many different ways. But just knowing that there's a lot of people that are doing it with integrity, that have data to back up what they're doing. And yeah, that there are ways to, I guess, dip your toe in the pond before completely jumping in. And a lot of people to support and resources with experience as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Madeline, Kristen, and Donna for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for your expertise. And I also just want to give a shout out to Chelsea McCormick. She is on our Center for Best Practice team and puts together the logistics for all of the webinars that that non-congregate puts forth. So just wanted to give her a shout out since she's behind the scenes making this happen. Thanks all for your time, and yeah, good luck this summer.